Okay, so we just have 2 questions left to do, so please at this point, no more talking. And we're going to read the question. From the window of one building, Sam finds the angle of elevation of the top of a second building. Okay, it's 41 degrees. So we need to have 2 buildings. And then they tell you that the angle of depression of the bottom is 54. The buildings are 56 meters apart. Find the height of the second building. So one building has to be shorter than the other. Does that make sense? Kind of like this. So this first thing that we have to sketch in there, and by the way, these 2 questions, very, very similar, as well as question 2 on your quiz, very similar to what you're going to see in the written response on Friday. Very similar. So if you study these 2 and this second quiz question from today, very similar. On Friday, yeah. Okay, so we have angle of elevations and angle of depression. Remember, when you sketch those, they have to come from a horizontal distance, a horizontal line. Elevation goes up, depression goes down. So one of those is 41, and the other one is 54. And then the only other information they told you is that the buildings are 56 meters apart. And then it wants the height of the second building. So if you're trying to problem solve, I recommend that you essentially are just trying to find right angle triangles. I know some of you today tried to do a little bit of trig on a non-right angle triangle by accident. Just remember, this only works for right angle triangles. So if I draw in the black ink, you can see this one here. That's a right angle triangle. And in the red ink, here's another one. Okay? Now if you want the height of the second building, you got 2 pieces. This piece and this piece. And those 2 pieces, you would just have to total up. You just have to add those up. And the side that's shared between them is 56 length. So using 41, which side do you want? Op, hype, or edge? And the 56 is edge. And if you're going to use the 54, the black line with the double tick is op, edge, or hype. Op, right? And the 56 is edge as well. So for both triangles, you have to use the same equation. Which one? 10. Good, 10. So you got tan 41 is op over 56, and you have tan 54 is op over 56. And because those are 2 different angles, you'll get 2 different values. It's the exact same equation, except the angles are different, so then the tan function will spit out a different result for those 2 ops. And then you just take those 2 answers and you add them up. So the first one is 56 tan 41, and the other one is 56 tan 54. Because the unknown is in the top, you just have to slide those denominators over. So 56 tan 41 and 56 tan 54. I got about a 48.7 and 77.1, and I'm going to take those two values and add them up for a final answer for about 125.8 roughly. The hardest part about that question is not the trig. Definitely not the trig. The hardest part is about reading the words and sketching the situation. Just one more. Yeah, just one more. Two towers are 300 meters apart. Actually, this one is almost verbatim for what you'll see. This one, just memorize this one. It's like almost identical. Yep. So two towers are about 300 meters apart. And from a point halfway between the angles of elevation to their roofs are 23 and 16 respectively. How much taller is one tower than the other? So like if you're stuck right in the middle, and one of the angles of elevation is 23 and the other's only 16, how do those relate? Which side will have the taller building? Which side will have the taller building? Yeah, because of the angle, right? So let's just get some sketches. Come on. Okay, so then it says, well, how much taller is the other building? This is a lot like what you did in today's quiz. If you could find this one, and then you could find this one, how would you find the difference between the two? This little bit of difference, you just have to subtract, right? Okay, and it's a point halfway, so you know this is 150, you know this is 150. So very similar to the last question in the sense that you don't even care about the hypotenuse. This one's up, this one's up. The 150 on either side is adjacent to those angles. The right angle's down in this corner. And you don't really care about the hypotenuse. The line of sight isn't too important to us. It's about the x and the y, the over and the up. So in both cases, I'm thinking tan. And in both cases, the unknown's in the top. So 150 tan 16. And following that same logic, 150 tan 23. One of those values will be bigger than the other, and you just subtract. I'll finish off the proper notes. Take these two values. One will be bigger than the other, and subtract, and you're done. So I got about 63.67, 43.011. Subtract those, it's looking like about 20. Yeah, 20.7. I used my calculator, I used all the digits, I got 20.7. Difference. So the homework on the bottom of this page, it's a continuation of yesterday. tomorrow will be your practice test. And then I'll just also guide you. There's a practice test in the book. Okay, the practice in the book starts at page 124. So if you get finished today's assignment, you can move on to page 124. And there's lots of questions in there. So there's a review, page 124. And then tomorrow's practice test, Friday's actual test. I'll start handing back quizzes.